Bagaitso, Madume Rafeli. You're still watching Mzansi Fundis, where we discuss anything and everything that has to do with South African football. Speaking of South African football, we make sure we don't leave our women behind. And who best to do it for us than Auntie Tiski when she tells her story, this time around featuring Karabo, an extraordinary agent. Let's see what it is that they have in store for us.
Now, a big introduction like that from Lekoko only means we have an MVP today. Bagaitso, my name is Jessica Mushabatu, known to you as Auntie Diski. This is the part of the show where we celebrate our women who are making moves and putting us on the map when it comes to women in sports. Today, we are going to be talking about somebody who's making moves behind the scenes. A very, very important role to play. But I don't want to give too much of who I'm talking about. I just would like to introduce my guest today. I am joined by the amazing Karabo. How are you, Mama?
Hello, Jess.
Okay?
Nervous.
I'm also nervous. I feel like I'm just around the grate and I'm just like, my English is running a little bit. Thank you so much for honoring the invite.
Thank you.
Firstly, this is a part where we just an opportunity. You just introduce yourself of who you are, where you're from, and what it is that you do. Before, if I talk about you, I will not finish. So over to you.
That's easy. I am Mathang-Tshabuse. I'm from Orlando East, Kosoweto. Kimwana footballing.
Yes.
Jomosono and my dad were best friends. So I was
bragging rights,
raised on the milk of football. Yeah. And I am in my late 30s. I started football at age 21.
Okay.
Representing players. I got my FIFA license at age 22. Predominantly focused on the male game, I won't lie.
Yeah.
And then felt the call to say, I got to do something with women's football as well.
Yeah.
So currently representing 3 powerful, dynamic, up-and-coming females in the game.
Yeah.
And have been doing it for 17, 18 years.
Love it, love it, love it. And one of your players you represent was actually sitting on that chair a couple of weeks ago. And she spoke so well about, the importance of having representation as an athlete. And when you were doing your introduction, you were just like, FIFA agent. I need to mention, she was the first female to obtain a FIFA license in Africa, the continent. That is just volumes. I think every time I talk about you, that's the first thing that I mention. But let's go to where you said you now transitioned to also representing females. What was that decision? What maybe laid you to that decision to say, you know what, I want to tap into this space as well?
Well, I think we got to rewind to when I first started was when Amanda Dlamini was in the game, the captain of Banyana Banyana.
Yes.
And we actually traveled to London, the 2012 Olympics with her. And I was like, if I'm going to do it, I'd rather do it with one client.
Yes.
And we were very lucky with her. We got the jockey sponsorship. We got Nike sponsorship for her. But there was no money in the game.
Yes.
And there's a lot of investment that people don't see. I mean, traveling to London to speak to, EPL ladies teams and getting nothing.
Yeah.
Getting nothing is something that you don't really invest quite willy-nilly.
Yes.
So after Amanda Dlamini, and you see her now, she's a very big star, doing well in broadcasting. We took the time to say, let's pause and see what's happening. Who's the next gem? And for a while, women's game, they were aging.
Yes.
So we thought, look, let's rather see the players who are up and coming and travel the journey with them. So that was another 5-year wait. But luckily, women's football is on the up, and we are lucky now to say we are looking at the up and comings. They are starting Go Banyana Banyana.
Yes.
And that's where we are.
And maybe speaking to an athlete, talking about just the importance of having a representative. We've seen a lot of cases where now players sign these contracts that bind them, and they don't actually know what they are signing. But what is the importance of, an athlete actually having a representative that, can have those tough, difficult conversations for them?
It's fundamental. It's like you having a business, because you're a business. When you're an athlete, you're a business. Your talent alone not only attracts commercial opportunities in football, but with brands, and you want to attract them. You have 5 to 10 years, depending on your entry, to maximize. So you alone doing it is possible, but you having an added person, in your team, I think it's fundamental. And not just any a management representative. You know, I think that we take it so lightly that you have one who just speaks for players. But a lot of the time, and I want to be honest with you, the reason why I went to law school after getting my license is that I felt exposed. How do I negotiate contracts when I don't even know contra proferentum?
Yeah.
I have to
Exactly.
ChatGPT again, you know. So I think having a skilled representative helps you. And the more you skill up, law, FIFA license, the more you are saying to your client, I know what I'm talking about. And the more you command credibility with the clubs. How do I know? I don't actually want the contra preferendum. It must work against you.
Yes, yeah.
And just to simplify, contra preferendum means the one who drafts the contract. Whatever they draft cannot be counted against them. It's like, no, you draft the contract. If there's something wrong, it must be counted against you. So having a representative who doesn't know these things, it's actually putting the player in a prejudicial position.
Yes, definitely.
So I think it's fundamental for any athlete who takes themselves seriously and who absolutely wants to become an elite player. Yeah.
And you know, there's so many challenges when you're representing players and you now have to source teams for them. You know, every player wants to go overseas, especially these young ones. You know, they probably you've had these discussions where I want to skip school, I want to go overseas because for them it's football. But how do you then have to relay the message to them to understand the importance of patience? Because if you're looking at the international market, our players mature at a later age. You know, when you're 28 years old, 27-year-old, most of the time we've seen that's the average age where somebody actually gets a national call-up. And you know, your CV needs to look great. But players don't understand that. You as an agent, how do you have that conversation with a player without making them feel like you're saying, I'm not good enough to go overseas at the moment, in terms of trusting the process and being patient and understanding what an 18-year-old, you know, makes pro, and by the time you get to 20, you're already playing for under 20 FIFA World Cup and senior FIFA World Cup.
I think first and foremost, just highlighting the principle is that you take yourself overseas. I just help you. You
please say that again.
Overseas. So the performance is what the statistics is what's going to, first of all, create a demand for you. We can just knock on doors until we're blue. But until you have the mindset, you know, even things like social media, how you appear, because those clubs are looking at you before you even step on a plane, you know. So I always say that it's good to have that dream. It's like an anchor, you know, that's guiding you. But I'm realistic. How many players do actually go overseas? Here we are, we had the Banyana captain. We tried our luck. We went to London, we knocked on doors. The call doesn't open for everybody, but you can live a life that honors it. I think Amanda Dlamini was supposed to be overseas. Why? Because there's a characteristic about international players that just sets them apart from all other players. And it's that elitism. They think differently. They know what it takes. They stay extra in the gym, you know. And I think that if you have a player who just has the dream without the backing, you tell them,
Definitely. And, you know, when you're representing players, sometimes you also represent the players commercially. You know, you speak a lot about, it doesn't mean you need to have one representative. You can have a representative that represents you commercially for all your endorsement deals and your sponsorship, and you can have one that basically finds you teams. So when it comes to the commercialization for players, getting sponsorship with your different brands or doing campaigns like you would see with your Siya Kolisi's, what are some of the challenges that you have experienced in trying to knock on those doors, especially for these players that are upcoming, you know, and you know that they're going to have good ROI at their peak for the brand?
You know, just get at the collaboration. I love collaboration. Now, I'm a legal eagle. I'm not even going to lie. I love law. I like sue. I sue you same time. So I know that there are marketers who see gaps I don't see, who know how to look at these engagement things. So we work with booking agents. But to the question of what is the challenges in the game, for women, it's the disparity with pay. You can have a woman who is well followed, has higher engagement, but brands are likelier to go for the male. And that, unfortunately, is still where we are. So it's about unlearning
Yeah.
and teaching brands to unlearn. Gore, I can be an Amanda Lamini and I can get you bigger value than, you know, any other male counterpart would. But unfortunately, it's more nuanced of a situation and position. So we go to brands who are already thinking like that. You must
That's
go to
very
people
important.
who are
Already
open-minded.
aligning,
You know, there's a
with
big
women
insurance
empowerment.
brand. I'm not going to mention its name.
We
but
know them.
We know them.
We know
right?
them.
They are knocking at our doors. So why go to a brand that is closed-minded? You know, go to where you're welcome.
Ooh. Powerful, powerful, powerful. And I think when you have it a little bit hard, because then you sit with two contracts, the ladies one and the guys one, and you're comparing the two and you're just like, why can't we have this? But you know what? I feel like there's so much to talk about. We're going to wrap it up here for this particular episode. But because there's so much we want to hear from Karabo, we're going to carry this conversation over to the next episode of Mzansi Fundi. So be sure to catch part 2 of this conversation. Karabo, thank you so much for joining us for part 1. Super inspired. After this, obviously, you know, I'm making my notes to take just, you know, inspiration.
In the women's game, a leader, someone I look up to in the women's game.
Oh, please, I'll take that. Thank you so much. Over to you, Lekoko.